Hello everyone, this is Adrian Howard with Weather Rampage, and this is your hurricane alert mode for Hurricane Michael, as this hurricane is a very dangerous hurricane at this point in time that is going to affect the northwest Florida coastline and into Georgia and the Carolinas, and this is becoming a potentially dangerous and catastrophic situation like Florence, but in a different way, as this storm is now a Category 4 hurricane on the SAFFIR-SIMPSON scale. And what you're looking at right now is the graphic showing what the storm is. The storm is just right off the coast of Florida, here in northwest Florida, along the Florida coastline, near getting very close to near Tallahassee, Florida. But it is still hundreds of miles offshore, but it is still there. And here's the storm right here, and it is really moving and trucking to the north at a very fast clip at up to 13 miles per hour. But before I get into that, I want to give you the stats on Hurricane Michael as of Wednesday, October 10th, 2018. At 4 a.m. Central Daylight Time, Advisory 15, National Weather Service, National Hurricane Center. Now, at 4 a.m. Central Daylight Time, the center of dangerous and potentially catastrophic Hurricane Michael was located at latitude position 28.3 north and longitude position 86.5 west. And the maximum sustained winds inside the center of dangerous Hurricane Michael were at 140 miles per hour with higher gusts. And its movement was north at 13 miles per hour. So this is a very dangerous situation, a potentially catastrophic situation. Now, this hurricane has gone up great lengths and scales from what it was yesterday. Yesterday, it went from a tropical storm to a hurricane. Now today it is a Category 4 hurricane about to slam into the Florida coastline. And the southeast is going to be affected by the storm as well, which is not good news for the Carolinas, because this storm is going to have the potential to produce flooding and also have the potential to bring down a lot of trees and power lines, as this storm will be a tropical storm still as it hits the Carolinas, and a hurricane even in Georgia. So this is not good news. I'm going to show you something here. Here's the IR satellite imagery of the storm. Look at that, folks. Just look at that. That is a very symmetrical hurricane as it continues to move off to the north. It is moving due north. Here's the eye wall right here. It is moving due north right now, and it is eventually expected to turn and move in this general direction and continue to move in this general direction. And what I want to show you is, you see these little cloud features right here? Those cloud features are what is wind shear in the atmosphere coming from a cold front frontal boundary that came through Oklahoma yesterday. And it is a feature that is going to help propel, that is beginning to help propel this hurricane northward, and then eventually northeastward not out to sea, but into Florida and Georgia and the Carolinas. So this is not good news. This storm system is expected to, the hurricane itself is supposed to connect up with this storm system cold front to produce a big mass of precipitation and very heavy rainfall, and also some very strong winds as well with this hurricane as it moves ashore. So this is not good news. I want everybody to really monitor this situation closely. But there's a lot of shear in the atmosphere here. And what I mean by shear is that there are winds aloft in the atmosphere that are helping to now steer this hurricane in the direction that I have it going right now. I have it going in this general direction, and this is what I'm talking about. To have the hurricane move a little bit further to the north and eventually to the northeast, and it's going to help propel the storm off to the north and northeast, and without tearing it apart. Now, this hurricane is producing a defense mechanism, as you see here. This big mass of clouds here, it is really grown the mass of precipitation and hurricane force winds, and also the cloud tops have gotten a lot larger here on the western semicircle of this hurricane, which indicates that this storm is fighting against this wind shear. So this is a powerful hurricane. Winds are at 140 miles per hour, which makes this a Category 4 hurricane on the SAFFIR-SIMPSON scale, much like how Florence did when it hit the Carolinas, before it hit the Carolinas and became a Category 4 hurricane, Category 4 storm. So what I want to show you here, here's another, well, that was the previous one. What I want to show you here, look at this. I want to show you also, here's another satellite loop. This is one of the other satellite loops that you can see at nighttime, and it is the shortwave IR night loop. And as you can see here is the hurricane. Here's the hurricane. Here's Hurricane Michael right here, and here's that cold frontal boundary. You can see this gives you a better, clearer shot of what I was trying to say here. Cold front here, and it is moving, producing severe weather up here into areas of Missouri and Arkansas, and into areas north of that. And the wind shear, you can see the clouds as they move. I want to show you. I'm going to take all this off. Clouds moving, you can see they're moving in this general direction here. This general direction here. And you can even see where the cloud tops are being sheared off here. You can see where they're being sheared off to the north. And they are that is what is helping to propel this storm north and eventually northeastward. So this is going to cause the hurricane to move in this general direction, as I said before, and exit out to sea, but not before hitting Georgia and the Carolinas and producing those impacts there as well. So this is a potentially catastrophic, dangerous situation for the Carolinas. And here is the water vapor imagery to show you the moisture in the atmosphere, and kind of the same thing what I want to show you, what I was showing you in the previous image, but just kind of showing you these satellites, and courtesy of Tropical Tidbits. And here's a good nighttime IR satellite loop, shortwave channel 7, GOES 16 satellite imagery loop of the hurricane. As you can see, that eye wall is very pronounced here in this storm. So this is a powerful hurricane, everyone, folks, and it is going to hit the shoreline in very short period of time. So you do not have time to sit and wait. You do not have time to evacuate. If you continue to sit there, you will not have time to do anything, because this hurricane is a very fast mover. And here, like I said, here's the eye wall of the storm, and it is moving. It is barreling into the Florida coastline at a very, very, very fast clip. So this hurricane will be ashore probably about 9, if not 9 or 10 o'clock this morning at noon daylight time today. So this hurricane is going to barrel ashore with some power and some punch and some force as it comes ashore at a monstrous clip and speed and fashion. So this hurricane is a very, very, very dense hurricane, which means it's going to have different impacts than Florence did. Florence impacts were flooding and some wind, but mainly flooding was Florence's impact on the Carolinas. Now this hurricane is going to have more major catastrophic wind impacts. That is dangerous, folks. I'm talking about wind projectiles. I'm talking about trees being blown over and completely snapped and broken into pieces. I'm talking about power lines being blown over. I'm talking about buildings sustaining heavy, heavy, heavy damage. I'm talking about wind speeds being able to throw projectiles in the air and being dangerous to people and animals caught outside without shelter. This is the kind of hurricane I'm talking about that this hurricane is this time, folks. So be thinking about that. Be thinking about a lot of power outages, and be thinking about the winds being ferocious with this storm as it continues to barrel off to the north and then eventually the northeast. So the storm is a very pronounced storm. It developed very quickly because the Gulf of Mexico waters are very warm into the 90s. So this storm had a lot of power and fuel to feed off of. So what I want to show you here is also, yes, here is a map showing the Carolinas. And as you can see here, the Carolinas are, yes, Georgia actually in the Carolinas, but I want to show you here. Here are the hurricane warnings right here, which extend from Florida, which includes Tallahassee, into portions of Alabama, a short portion of southeast Alabama, into areas of Georgia right here, into areas of Georgia right there, and Florida right here in the coastline there. And this is the tropical storm watch going all the way from Alabama into Georgia into South Carolina, which will likely be extended into North Carolina and all the way to the coast here, like I'm drawing here, will be extended later on today as that storm continues to move into the area. So, which means that eastern North Carolina, you're going to see these tropical storm force winds. Areas of Jacksonville, Wilmington, Lumberton, Rockingham, Hamlet, Sanford, Rayford, Raleigh, North Carolina, potentially Greensboro, potentially the Charlotte metro area, Myrtle Beach, Columbia, South Carolina, all those areas, potentially Atlanta, Georgia as well, and also Macon, Georgia, and all those areas in Georgia, all the way up into South Carolina are going to see tropical storm force winds. What that means is that when this storm comes inland like it is going to have wind speeds almost up to 70 miles per hour when it gets in these locations, with gusts up to 80 miles an hour. So this is a dangerous situation, folks. This is a dangerous situation indeed. This storm has become a potentially dangerous and catastrophic, damaging wind type of event storm. So Carolinas, you really need to pay attention to this. You are under flash flood watch right now, but you're going to be all in a tropical storm warning as the day rolls on, as this storm, Hurricane Michael, comes ashore in Florida and moves very fast to the north and northeast into your area, Georgia and the Carolinas. You need to be paying attention to this. This is not to be playing around with right now at this point in time. So, but what I wanted to show you is here is that with any landfalling tropical system or hurricane, there's always a threat for tornadic supercells. And that is what is going to happen in these squalls. As these squalls come ashore, they're going to have the potential to produce some tornadoes as they come ashore here. And it's always on this side of the storm as the winds go around the storm in this fashion, and they come up from the southeast. There's always a wind shear component as the winds change with different directions and different heights, and to give that spin in the atmosphere and wind shear and tornadoes. So that is going to be a possibility here in this location here in Florida as Hurricane Michael gets closer to Florida. So, and here is the hurricane, actually the tornado watches for all these counties here in Florida, all of these counties here in Florida. And here's the hurricane on radar right here. You can see the eye wall very pronounced right there as this hurricane comes ashore. And what I want to show you is here's the key messages from Hurricane Michael from the National Hurricane Center. Life-threatening storm surges likely along portions of the coastal Florida Panhandle, Big Bend, and Nature Coast, where storm surge warning is in effect. The worst storm surge surge is expected between Tyndall Air Force Base and Keaton Beach, where 9 to 13 feet of inundation is possible. Michael is likely to produce potentially catastrophic wind damage where the core of the hurricane moves onshore in Florida and the Florida Panhandle. And everyone in the hurricane warning area should prepare for life-threatening hurricane winds. Dangerous hurricane force winds will also extend well inland across portions of Florida Panhandle, southern Georgia, and southeast Alabama as Michael moves inland. Heavy rainfall from Michael could produce life-threatening flash flood from the Florida Panhandle and Big Bend region into portions of Georgia, the Carolinas, and southeast Virginia. Tropical storm conditions will likely affect portions of the southeast U.S. coast from northeast Florida through North Carolina, and tropical storm watches and warnings are in effect for these areas. So that's what I was saying, folks, that this storm is going to have some very strong wind impacts. Now, here's the storm surges that are expected for this storm. As you can see, the red areas are greater than 9 feet above ground. So that's these areas here in Florida. Look at that, where the whole hurricane warning is. Over 9 feet of rain, over 9 feet of storm surge. That is catastrophic and will take your life if you're not careful with this. So be very, very, very careful with this hurricane. I will keep you updated. I got to let you go right now, but this storm is going to have some wide impacts. I will keep you updated. This is Adrian Howard, Weather Rampage. Take care, everyone.